How to make a knockoff, but to be honest, not really good enough to be called a knockoff. More like not really gonna fool anyone into thinking it's the real thing. Lirika Matoshi cloud sweater. Let's get straight to it. First, formulate a plan using your noggin. I excel at formulating plans because I used Excel to draw up my designs. Okay, sorry, I already started with a bad joke. So then I took my yarn out to the playground. Why? As a mother of 3, I rarely have time to completely devote to myself. So knitting is the perfect hobby. It's portable and I can pick it up and put it down as need be. So as the kids were busy entertaining themselves, I grabbed my green yarn, proceeded to cast on 46 stitches and began the ribbing. Okay, no, this ribbing. Then I simultaneously began increasing stitches and creating the stockinette stitch. Here's a better view of that stockinette stitch. And this is where the fun begins, as I turn what looks like just plain normal booger green into shoots of grass sprouting up into the sky. This part is always a bit difficult for me because I'm not very good with tension. Tension when I knit with different colors. I actually did some research and found that to improve the tension, I should try to avoid more than 5 stitches when working with different colors. I also got a tip from a super helpful subscriber. You basically do this when switching colors to prevent puckering. Then I grabbed 5 skeins of blue yarn and got to work. What? And thus begins the color working, aka the big ol' mess in the back. Now that I've reached the point where I no longer go more than 5 stitches in one color, I proceed to cut all the extra blue yarn. Normally I weave in the ends as I go, but I decided this time that I would try knitting a bit first and then weaving in the ends to make sure I feel good about the tension.
They're
sleeping. You have nothing to say about my hair? Apparently, my husband wasn't that impressed with my hair, but man, is this looking amazing or what?
Yeah.
Then I began tidying up the inside of the sweater before working on the clouds. The clouds. Oh, looky there. We're at a Korean baseball game. In case you're curious about what Korean baseball games are like during this pandemic, this is basically it. This is what full capacity looks like, and people aren't allowed to eat in the seats. They've got these designated areas for eating. This was the first time here with the kids, and basically our entire experience here was just sweating profusely in the sweltering sun, drinking out of an "are you serious $5 bat-shaped cup, and finding the most entertaining thing to be viewing my husband's socks. He cuts the top of all of his socks because he says it constricts the blood flow. I got home and I had to find out for myself whether looking like a silly goose ankle down was really worth it. And I have to say it actually may be. Now back to those clouds. In order to do that, I must graft in the white yarn to my nicely progressing sweater. I was so excited. This sweater was turning out awesome. And turns out I made this one a little bit too short, so I guess I'll have to give this to my daughter and work on another one. Back to the drawing board. I guess I don't quite excel at making patterns in Excel as I once thought. I changed up the pattern so that the sweater is slightly longer and wider, and also changed up the clouds and grass. Upon closer inspection, my grass looked more like a bunch of Tetris blobs took a poo on my sweater. Also, pointy clouds. What? Then I got right back on that knitting horse. And success! After successfully completing the front, I began working on the back. The back is pretty much the front with a slightly higher neckline, so instead of showing you how I made the back, why don't I show you how I got this chiseled back with yoga? Also, do you see these guns? I've been working on clothing them because the sight of these is just too much for anybody with eyeballs to handle. Exactly like the front and back, I began with a green ribbing, but this time instead of casting on 50, I cast on 30 and made it twice as long by knitting 20 rows. I slightly ballooned out the cuff by increasing the stitches to 46, worked on the Tetris poo blobs and clouds, and voila! Okay guys, we're reaching the home stretch. We're bringing this all together and stitching it to become one happy, cohesive sweater. This used to be the most dreaded part for me, but as I aged like a fine club soda, I have begun to find this portion to be rather relaxing. Isn't it weird how things that used to be unpleasant can change depending on your view of the world? Like, remember when you were a kid and you avoided baths like the plague? Now the only thing that you look forward to when you get home from a long day of work is turning yourself into a skin-colored prune and spending copious amounts of money on those bath bombs. Like, why on earth does this thing cost $10? Don't judge me. My kids wanted to try them and I couldn't say no because I'm a spineless parental unit when it comes to new experiences. But you know what? It's actually really cool. But it can't be too good for you if it stains your hands this much. Daddy Bear also saw how much the kids liked them and ended up ordering 4 more. Bath bomb. 폭탄. What?
제발 그게 뭐예요?
You don't know what this is?
이거 물에서 사는 거예요?
Now back to this idea of skin-colored prunes. Actually, I have nothing to say about prunes, but I do have something to say about the neckline. I finished the sweater off with a ribbed edge and voila!
Thanks for watching.
Hope to see you in the next one.